The Steelers' defense was impressive Sunday, as it dominated the high-powered Colts offense. That, in large part, is why they won 27-20 in a game most people had them pegged to lose. The defense forced 6 turnovers, had 5 sacks, rendered Jonathan Taylor irrelevant, and made Daniel Jones of the Colts look a lot like Daniel Jones of the Giants. It was an incredible turnaround from the woeful performance of the previous 2 games against the Packers and the Bengals. The Steelers' defense showed when its stars perform, it can be as menacing as any defense in the NFL. The Steelers' offense was efficient, cashed in on some short fields, and scored enough points to win the game. Efficient is good, for sure, but the Steelers' offense left and leaves a lot to be desired. I asked this question of several people, but how many points would the Colts have scored if they had 6 turnovers go their way? I would be willing to bet if that Colts offense was handed 6 turnovers and all of those short fields, it would have scored about 50 points and blown the Steelers off the field. How about in the Steelers' previous win over the Patriots, when the defense generated 5 turnovers and the offense scored only 21 points? How many points would the Patriots have scored that day if they had the 5-0 edge in turnovers? I am guessing a lot more than 27. I am really not trying to be overly critical, but the reality is the offense is not good enough. It just isn't, and had the defense not handed it so many short fields and delivered stops, the Steelers would have lost. The Steelers had 225 total yards Sunday. They averaged 4.9 yards per pass and 1.7 yards per rush. Their longest passing play was 18 yards, and their $30 million receiver, DK Metcalf, had a total of 2 catches for 6 yards. It is an offense that doesn't scare anyone, doesn't make many big plays, and doesn't even run the ball, the alleged bread and butter, very well. The run game is one thing and can improve as the offensive line improves, but the passing game won't get better unless the Steelers go out and get another receiver, period. I know they have this love affair with Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, and the group of tight ends, but take a closer look at Sunday's game. It is pretty clear the Steelers' offense lacks firepower. The 4 tight ends are all good at catching the ball, but none are going to run away from anyone. And while there are some areas on offense, I suppose, with room for growth, the truth is the most glaring hole is at that second receiver position. The Colts showed if you can take away DK Metcalf, the Steelers' offense isn't scary at all. Maybe someday Wilson will become a legitimate threat, but it's not now, not this year, and the Steelers can't afford to wait for him. Austin has proven to be a very reliable number 3 or number 4 receiver, but he is being miscast as a number 2. He isn't going to make anyone focus on him in order to take pressure off of Metcalf. The Steelers are reportedly finally going to sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and while he does have a connection with Rodgers, he doesn't necessarily make the Steelers better. I don't think he is better at this point than Austin, to be quite honest. There are plenty of receivers who are allegedly on the market, and I don't care which one of them the Steelers go get. Brian Batko lists Jacoby Myers, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson. I know the price for a couple of those guys could be steep, but are the Steelers serious about winning the Super Bowl, or are they not? Are they serious about improving their team for this year, with a 41-year-old quarterback and a bunch of 30-somethings who might be on their last legs, or not? That's the question Omar Khan and company need to ask themselves, as do the Rooneys and anyone else in on the decision. Is this a season when they are serious about making a run at the Super Bowl or not? If it isn't, then the Steelers should save all of their draft picks, stand pat, and not try to improve the receiving core. But if it isn't, why the heck did they bring Aaron Rodgers here? Why did they go get Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, and Metcalf? The defense has shown at times it can be awful. But it has also shown that when the stars show up and are ready to play, it can be dominant enough to take over games and stop the best offenses in the NFL. And that means this team can be good enough to win the Super Bowl, but it won't unless the offense adds some firepower at the wide receiver position. It is nice they have 19 tight ends who all seem to catch the ball, but this team needs an impact player, a game breaker beyond Metcalf, and that player isn't on the roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers already acquired safety Kyle Duggar from the New England Patriots last week. But the Steelers are a candidate to make another move before the NFL trade deadline on Tuesday. That's what head coach Mike Tomlin suggested while speaking to reporters less than 4 hours prior to the deadline. "We'll see what happens," Tomlin said with a smile. I like shopping. The head coach then answered a specific question about whether the team could acquire another wide receiver. We've got a few more hours. We'll see what happens, said Tomlin. The NFL trade deadline is 4 p.m. Eastern Time on November 4th. Mike Tomlin doesn't rule out another Steelers trade. Clearly, Tomlin enjoyed being coy with the media Tuesday. But the conclusion from his press conference was the head coach didn't rule out the team acquiring another player. Last year, the Steelers added both wide receiver Mike Williams and edge rusher Preston Smith at the NFL trade deadline. Both acquisitions occurred on deadline day. Pundits have linked the Steelers to multiple wide receivers for months. That's the most likely addition the team could make, which is why Tomlin received a specific question about potentially trading for a wideout. But based on how the Steelers' defense has played this season, more additions on that side of the ball are also possible. Duggar played very well in his team debut Sunday, but the Steelers still lack safety depth. Pittsburgh's pass defense is ranked in the bottom half of the league, and the unit's run defense has been leaky at times too. That could mean any potential defensive addition is on the table. Steelers miss out on WR's Jakobi Meyers, Rashid Shaheed. While the Steelers do still have a few more hours before the NFL trade deadline, the trades were already happening before and just after Tomlin's press conference. Two receivers pundits previously linked to the Steelers have new homes. The Las Vegas Raiders dealt Jakobi Meyers to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Furthermore, the New Orleans Saints sent Rashid Shaheed to the Seattle Seahawks. On Tuesday, the Steelers officially added veteran receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the organization. However, Tomlin minimized that addition since he's only joining the practice squad. Perhaps that means the Steelers do intend to add another wideout. But if they do, it won't be Meyers or Shaheed. Valdes-Scantling won 2 Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. He has 4 years of experience with quarterback Aaron Rodgers and has averaged 17.3 yards per catch in his career. But it's been a rocky 2025 for the veteran wideout. The Seahawks waived Valdes-Scantling at the end of the preseason, and the San Francisco 49ers did the same in October. In 4 games with the 49ers, Valdes-Scantling had 4 catches for 40 yards. Valdes-Scantling's best statistical season was 2020, when he posted 33 catches for 690 yards and 6 touchdowns. He averaged 20.9 yards per reception. The Indianapolis Colts are widely expected to be buyers ahead of the NFL trade deadline on Tuesday, but there is at least one player the team could sell. CBS Sports' Jonathan Jones believes it's possible the Colts will actually trade away a player, and he adds that teams are monitoring the status of wide receiver Adonai Mitchell, which obviously opens the door for him to be traded. The needs for Indy before their loss to Pittsburgh were cornerback and edge rusher, in that order. I would not rule out the Colts potentially trading a player, either. I have heard from teams who are monitoring second-year receiver Adonai Mitchell, who has 2 catches on 4 targets since the start of October, Jones said. Mitchell was a second-round pick in the 2024 draft. A second-round pick of the Colts in 2024, Mitchell has yet to be much of a factor in the Colts' offense over his season plus in the NFL and is on the road to being a bust. Mitchell had just 23 catches for 312 yards during his rookie campaign, and he has just 9 catches for 152 yards this season. The Texas product also found himself in the doghouse recently, when he dropped the ball before crossing the goal line for a would-be touchdown, leading to the second-year wide receiver getting benched in Week 6. The Colts are very deep at wide receiver with Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs, so that has played a factor in Mitchell's lackluster career. It also means Indy can afford to unload Mitchell, who they clearly don't have much use for anyway. Mitchell could be of interest to teams looking for a bargain addition with some upside. He's still just 23 years old, and perhaps a change of scenery to a less crowded wide receivers room could propel him to better things. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Denver Broncos, and Buffalo Bills have been 3 of the teams most commonly rumored to be in the market for wide receiver help, and all 3 were mentioned in Jones' report. The Steelers need a number 2 for quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and while Mitchell is far from guaranteed to address that need because of how unproven he is, he could be a fallback option for Pittsburgh if all else fails. The Bills have very limited cap space, so adding a cheaper wideout like Mitchell could be an option, although like the Steelers, the Bills need to go bigger. Denver could take a flyer on Mitchell if they believe he's capable of more, but we would suggest the Broncos would prefer a more proven player given their already young wide receivers room.